What is up? What is up, everybody? Finally, I hit the go button. It has been one of those nights, and I'm a little out of breath. Sorry about that. I had to run and go check some Ethernet cable connections, make sure my internet was going to be good. Yeah, it's been one of those nights. I wasn't making myself pretty. I'm sorry. I'm pretty all day and all night, so that's one thing I don't have to worry about. Um, yeah, I got a 15-year-old, and he was at a basketball game, and the wife had to go get him, and just so happened the way the times worked out when he got done, um, it was about that time, and also got a 6-month-old baby and a 2.5-year-old, so makes things complicated, but we got it all sorted out. I'm sitting here watching the baby monitor live, and hey, we are good to go. All right, without further ado, I'm fixing to bring in here the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Baron Coleman. And y'all can tell me what you think about the hat. I generally wear it backwards just because of the light, but it didn't seem to be too bad. And so, yeah, y'all can let me know if y'all love it or hate it or indifferent. So anyway, here we go. Hey, and good. Yes, the baby's our boss. Absolutely. Especially when they're little like that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get her go. We'll get her going. I'm fixing to pull it in here. Thank you, Miss Susan. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, there he is. All right, let's see what we can learn about Google trend searches again tonight.
A test of search terms from other current news events outside of the Charlie Kirk event in Orem, Utah. And I noticed those terms.
Yeah, and he's going to talk about a couple of others. There was that one shooting, I believe it was in North Carolina. We may listen to a little bit of that, depending on how long it goes. I can't remember. Depending on how long it goes, we may switch back or, skip on forward to the Charlie Kirk thing again. But
don't tend to disappear, at least not nearly at the pace that the terms associated with
Barron is the man.
With Charlie Kirk's story tend to disappear after I cover them. So tonight I want to walk you.
And you know why? He's a Tennessee boy, Middle Tennessee, no less. So that is that may not be all of it, but that's definitely part of it. So yeah.
Through a couple of examples of current stories breaking in America, both involving the shocking use of violence, much like we saw with Charlie Kirk. And I want to share this for a couple of reasons. One is to demonstrate, I guess, what it is that I do and how I do it when stories like these break, so that you can see what I'm doing and you can have confidence in what it is I present here. And another goal is to verify whether everything I cover disappears in the days, weeks, and months. Nice. To verify if everything that I cover disappears after I cover it. And again, I just want to clarify a couple of things. Google Trends searches that I have not discussed with other people, not friends, not family, that I just do on my own, and I haven't shared on this channel, they tend not to disappear. Google Trends searches I do share with others that we talk about, we trade text messages, and I cover on the channel, they have a bad habit of disappearing. And I'll leave it for you to decide what that means. But please know I'm tracking this in real time. Which ones I cover, which ones I share with other people, which ones disappear. And with that, let me take you to 2 horrific stories that have unfolded in the last 24 hours. Because I'll demonstrate what I do with these types of stories and how I analyze them. And after that, I'll show you close to 20 searches you have never seen relative to Charlie Kirk, and searches you didn't frankly think of. And I know you didn't think of them because on this channel, I asked you guys, give me some other search terms. I'll look them up right now live on air. And I got some suggestions. I did get some suggestions. But when I really started grinding the gears and talking with some friends, we came up with some additional search terms, and the results are shocking. Probably, I would say in some instances, vastly more shocking than anything we've covered to date. Vastly more shocking than anything we've covered to date.
No, see, that ain't too terrible, Yankee. It could be a whole lot worse. I spent a lot of time in St. Louis. Been over 10 years ago, but I spent a lot of time over there working. So pretty familiar with that neck of the woods. And yeah, so yeah, technically you could say maybe a little Yankee, but we won't hold that against you. And like I said, you could be way more Yankee than that. So Missouri is one of those states, kind of like Kentucky, where everybody's just kind of confused. They're not really 100% sure whether they're Yankees or rednecks. He's just kind of caught in the middle.
Did I get your text from earlier in the day? You probably texted someone else, Scooter. I don't think I still have the same number that you have, but I have your number, so I'll reach out to you. My phone number tends to change, Cooter. I'm not hiding from Cooter. No, sir. I wouldn't do that to you. Okay, let me find it first. Where is it? Here we go. News story broke today. The two major news stories broke. One is probably more well known than others. A shooting at a Church of Latter-day Saints, a Mormon church in Michigan. And I'll share this on the screen real quickly just so you can see the news. Man drove his vehicle through the front doors of a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints building. Man, that's a mouthful. I love our Mormon friends, but that is such a mouthful. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In Grand Blanc, Michigan. All this is relevant as I'm going to walk through this with you. Suspect been identified, again, by 3 names. Thomas Jacob Sanford. So let me go through a few things here. So you can see in real time what it is I do when I'm confronted with a story like this, because it's going to give more credibility to what I'm talking about with the Charlie Kirk thing. Oh gosh, I got too many windows open to ever be able to figure this out. Let me do this. Sorry, guys. Let me pull this one up. So I go to Thomas Jacob Sanford. That's the shooter's name, isn't it? I look in the District of Columbia because that's where I get awfully suspicious with these crazy shooters that appear out of nowhere, taking innocent lives in mass quantities. If you'll notice here, Thomas Jacob Sanford was searched. This phrase was searched on a machine with an IP address originating in Washington, D.C. once the week of April 27th to May 3rd, 2025. And again, 3 weeks ago in Washington, D.C. Thomas Jacob Sanford in the District of Columbia. That's what you see up here. Past 12 months. So I do the whole year just to get an idea. And I did this at 90 days, 30 days, 7 days. But this is the one I like. It's the whole year. You can see there's no random searches. Then all of a sudden one day where it pops up with some modest amount of searching. And then it goes away for a period of months. And then it pops up again a few weeks ago. Thomas Jacob Sanford. Now, I don't draw conclusions on what that means. And this dotted line here obviously is leading up to the day where it just goes crazy. I am not drawing conclusions on this program right now on what that means. But you think, well, that could be a coincidence. Yeah, it could. It could. What about Grand Blanc, Michigan? I mean, has anybody ever searched for Grand Blanc, Michigan? Yeah, as a matter of fact, they do. Because that's where the shooting took place. And you'll see right here a few weeks ago, if you remember, it was about the first week of September when Thomas James Sanford was being searched in Washington, D.C., in the District of Columbia, the actual district itself, not Maryland, not Virginia. And you got Grand Blanc, Michigan. But hey, people could be vacationing there. I don't know. Maybe it's a hot spot. So we drill down further. We go even further. How about the street address of the Mormon church?
Hey, Diana, glad to see you in here.
How about
come to hang out in the Cool Club?
The street address of the Mormon church, which happens to be 4285 McCandlish Road. Lest you think this is something that gets started. Have you ever heard the word McCandlish in your life? I have not. Today was the first. And lo and behold, in the past 7 days, September 24th, 2025, in the District of Columbia, a long way from Grand Blanc, Michigan. A long way from Grand Blanc, Michigan. Am I saying that right? Grand Blanc? It sounds like it should be Grand Blanc, like Perrier. We don't call it Perrier.
And hey, while I'm thinking about it, I hate to, keep pausing on you, but that's kind of what I do. But anyway, while I'm thinking about it, let's remember to keep our good dear friend Mr. Greg in our prayers. I know he's really feeling under the weather. He's not feeling good at all. I did talk to him earlier, and so I hate that. I feel for him. I know how it is. So yeah, everybody say a little prayer that he gets feeling better ASAP.
Right, we give things that look obviously French. We give it a little French accent to it. Grand Blanc. McCandlish Road, 4285 McCandlish Road. I can assure you, I could prove it here if I have to. I can assure you, I can promise you it is. But lest you doubt me, I will show you. I actually have it pulled up for you guys to see in all its glory. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where the tragedy today took place, 4285 McCandless Road, Grand Blanc, Michigan. So to recap, we have the guy's full name searched in Washington, D.C. in the last 3 weeks. And before that, a few months before that, and then at no time in between.
Damn, no shit. You really a Zoomer? 25? Damn. Well, you just let us know what to call you. All right, we'll call you whatever you want. two old ladies and a youngin in the chat. Hey, it don't matter. Long as everybody's here and having a good time, that's all that matters. I wonder where Miss Raining is. Raining and Licit. I ain't seeing either one of them. Maybe they'll both pop in here before long.
Thomas James Sanford. We have Grand Blanc, Michigan, searched about the same time that Thomas James Sanford's name was searched the second time in the Washington, D.C. area. We have the street address of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Maybe they were searching a different Thomas James Sanford. Thomas Jacob Sanford, excuse me. Thomas Jacob Sanford. I've been saying James. Thomas Jacob Sanford. Well, maybe. But I found his home address. 4156 East Atherton Road. Do not go looking it up. Don't harass these people. Stay away from there. But I'm doing this for pedagogical purposes so that you can see that even in the District of Columbia, Thomas Jacob Sanford's home address of 4156 East Atherton Road was searched in the last week. Now, could all be a giant coincidence. Could all be a giant coincidence. We could be going on about nothing right now. We could be wasting everybody's time who tunes into this program. We don't care about the Mormons. I do. They're good people. They're good people. I don't care about this lone crazy shooter. I do. I'm getting good data out of this. Getting really good data about what was searched and when and where. I find it shocking. I probably shouldn't show this. I found his wife's Facebook page, or maybe his ex-wife. I'm having trouble figuring out if they're still married or in the process of getting divorced or whatever. But I found his wife's Facebook.
If nobody's opposed to it, I think we'll we get the point here. We'll move on to a little bit more Charlie Kirk related material
Page, and I just started going through the.
Hold, please. Hopefully Barron won't charge me for that. I don't know if he's got that copyrighted or that. I guess that's kind of his trademark. See where we're at.
And we have evidence this happens. I take you back to Michigan during the last election cycle. Do you remember Gretchen Whitmer and the kidnapping case against Gretchen? You remember George Zen? Not ZYN like the nicotine pouches. A few sandwiches short of a picnic, maybe you would call them. And he didn't want to commit violence. But he was talking to someone online that he thought loved him, and they just kept baiting him into this violent act. And he finally goes and gets a gun because the person's like, "Oh, you got to do it for me." And he goes and gets a gun, and it turns out that when they arrested him, he was like, "I didn't want to do this." And the person he was talking to wasn't someone in love with him at all. It was an FBI informant or agent or something. It was a hit they were running. So this happens. I think I'm saying one could conclude you're seeing evidence of this in the Google Trend searches. That's the possibility 2. Possibility 3, it's all a big coincidence. The more exceedingly important, and the amount of coincidences that take place between. You remember George Zen? Not ZYN like the nicotine pouches. Z-I-N, not Z-E-N like enlightenment and peace.
I think this will work. I think it's close enough. We're rocking and rolling now. We're with the program. We're cooking with oil.
No, we're talking ZINN, which I don't even know what that means. Apparently means wackadoodle. So I go and I search George Zinn. You can see here where George Zinn was arrested. There's a little blip on September 10th in the District of Columbia. I'm assuming this is everybody racing to the computer to figure out who is the guy they
If he tries to charge me, we'll remind him of that.
just arrested. I don't know what this is. Maybe a few days later, people go. But look here, July 20th. Now, this July 20 is going to become very important tonight. The week around July 20th is going to become exceedingly important. And the amount of coincidences that take place between like a week before and a week after July 20 and all that time in between becomes very difficult to set aside, to disregard. So the fact that this was the first thing I looked up during this go around of searches, George Hodgson Zinn, that's the full name of the guy that they first arrested. You remember, this is the old guy who stands up within seconds of Charlie Kirk being assassinated. I did it. I shot him. And then as they're dragging him away, his pants fall down. He's like, shoot me. That's George Hodgson Zinn. And he was searched, or this term searched according to Google, with an IP address originating in the District of Columbia on July 21, 2025. And again, I tell you, keep the anchor date around July 20 in your mind tonight. Because after I did that, I thought, I wonder if anybody Googled the hospital where they took Charlie Kirk. Wonder if anybody Googled the hospital where they took Charlie Kirk. They took him to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. That's there in the district. I mean, that's there.
Everybody knows there's a Timpanogos Regional Hospital in just about every major city in the United States.
They're in Utah.
I was trying to show the baby monitor, but it wouldn't focus, and I wasn't going to sit there and mess with it. Yeah, he's sprawled both arms out to his side, sound asleep. He's snoozing good.
They have, I think, a campus in Orem, Utah. So I go District of Columbia. Here's where, again, on September 10th, 11th, right there, you see the searches for Timpanogos Regional Hospital, people looking for where they took Charlie Kirk. But you'll see this spike of interest in Timpanogos Regional Hospital out of D.C., and then no interest for 2 solid months before the shooting. But again, keep in mind that July 20 anchor date. Here we have a July 16, 2025. And then we have a July 3, and we have a June 28. And if you go out 12 months, you'll notice you even had one back then, and then it.
And you know, with this hospital, if you'll notice, there were, yes, he does have it going on for sure. You notice with the hospital though, like most of these, there has been 1 to 2. Most of them have 2 searches, and most of them were late summer. Mid to late summer. With the hospital, if you'll notice, he just named off, I don't know, I wasn't counting as he went, but at least 5 searches, maybe 6, several searches. And I think that tracks and makes sense. I think with something like a hospital, it's not just a matter of the hospital as a whole. It's not a matter of one particular person at the hospital. If you're doing some serious research on something like that, you're going to need to know all kinds of stuff from, who's the hospital administrator. I mean, who are on call at different times. You're going to need to know about head nurses. You're going to need to know, obviously surgeons and so forth. I mean, there's so many different things. I believe, to me, that's why there's so many searches for the hospital versus most of the individuals. And at the end of the day, like I said, everybody knows that there's a Timpanogos, whatever, hospital in just about every major city, right? So, it's just a coincidence. I've seen 3 or 4 Timpanogos hospitals in my life. I'm just kidding. I have not ever.
This all kind of goes out. So something goes regional hospital.
And I'm sorry if I'm glitchy. And I tell you what, I don't know what's going on, but ever since we had that weather, it's been that way. I may have to check my internet out real good tomorrow. Apologize for that if it's a little laggy here and there.
Search. And then right the day before the shooting, somebody in the District of Columbia says, we should really make sure we know what the Timpanogos Regional Hospital is. We really should make sure we know the day before he gets shot.
Imagine that.
So you had that July 20 anchor date, the time around there. You had a time way back. That could be anything.
No, Miss Susan, the weather's gone. Today was absolutely beautiful. Um, I'm in roofing and I do a lot of riding around, but I also do a lot of getting out and doing inspections and stuff. And I tell you what, I've never enjoyed inspections like I had today. Absolutely beautiful today. Not a cloud in the sky.
And then the day before, somebody zeroes in and says, we need to look up.
Yes, Miss Nosy, the tail numbers were searched on these planes. I don't remember which one it's in, but he definitely covers that.
Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Maybe they're looking up an address. Maybe they're looking up. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, you didn't get in on that first one that we did. I'm pretty sure the tail numbers was the very first episode he did. We already did that one. Go back and do the first of the. This is the third one with Barron and the Google searches. Go back and watch that first one because he hits the tail numbers in that one.
But again, I'm just reporting the facts. I'm just reporting the facts. I'm not drawing conclusions tonight. I could give you possible conclusions you could draw, and you could draw your own conclusions.
We're going to draw our conclusions.
Or you could just sit back and look and learn like I did. Because after Timpanogos Regional Hospital, I thought, I wonder who the medical examiner is in Utah. I wonder who the medical examiner is in Utah, because it appears to me, based on everything I've looked at, that Charlie Kirk may not have had an autopsy, which I find shocking. Shocking. Because an autopsy could give you a lot.
And just a little community note on that. Obviously, at the time, nobody was sure, but it does appear that he actually did receive an autopsy. So hopefully we'll get some details on that. Probably not if it ends up not going to trial, but hopefully one of these days we can actually see that. But I believe that he did, in fact, have an autopsy.
Things such as what angle did the bullet come in? Where did the bullet go? What type of bullet?
Another community note. At the time, we were all under the impression that there was a bullet involved directly with the incident, but I think that we've all moved on from that.
Bullet was it? What damages were done to the organs? Were there any other injuries? And this is going to come up in a minute. Were there any other injuries anywhere else in the body? And so I wondered who the medical examiner was there in Utah. And I looked her up. She's a woman named Deidre Amaro. And she was looked up, but this time not in the District of Columbia, but in Israel, which I thought was very strange. June 30th of 2025.
That's a strange coincidence there.
In Israel. June 30th, 2025, an IP address originating in Israel. Again,
I don't definitely know bullet, at least definitely no bullet directly with Charlie, but I don't know if y'all caught it or not. And you probably haven't actually, because I believe it was on X. John Bray put out a post, I believe it was today. If I don't know if y'all caught that last interview that he did with, let's see, who was it? Was it with, might have been with Bednards and Kelly Raybon. Yes, they do, Miss Nosy. Yes. But anyway, that last interview John Bray did, they were talking about the sounds a lot. They went really deep into that. And so he had thought of some new audio tests that he was going to do. Anyway, here in a minute, I may try to pull that up, but, yes, he did some more testing and they come to some very interesting conclusions. And he says, according to him, they're damn near like irrefutable, but that what they came up with indicated a 30 caliber bullet, which could be a 30-06, could be a 308, 30-30, 300 Win Mag. I mean, there's a whole slew that it could be, but it indicated that a 30 caliber bullet did go out across that space. And then at the very end, according to the sound and the audio analysis, it hit ballistic gel somewhere in the vicinity of that van over there. So those that were talking about the possibility of them shooting into the back of the van may not have been that far off. So I don't know. Very interesting. I'm sure that we'll hear more on that. So yeah, thought I'd mention that. And like I said, if we end up with time, I'll pull that up. If not, maybe I'll just do a whole separate something on that. That's good information. That's going to be interesting.
Talked last week about the ways IP addresses can end up somewhere.
Yeah, shout out Blake Bednarz. I really like him.
But Deidre Amaro, the medical examiner there in Utah.
Yeah, I know, Miss
Somebody
Susan.
with an IP.
Sorry about that. I know you don't have X, Miss Susan. A lot of people don't. So anytime I see anything that's just really good or exciting on X, I'll try to make sure and bring that to y'all. I don't blame anybody that doesn't hang out on X because it can be a cesspool at times.
IP address originating in Israel decided they were very interested in Deidre Amaro. And lest you think I didn't check, the reason I'm not showing you others, go to the District of Columbia, for example, not there. You can even go to Utah and see. Not there. So if it's not in the District of Columbia and it's not in Utah, this is not a very common search, is what I'm pointing out here.
No.
Not a very common search at all.
Not at all.
But there it was in Israel. So I thought, that's weird. That's weird. So I press on.
It is. And I had a feeling you might not have heard of that. But, I tell you what, it might be better just to, even if it's just a little short live, I may just do something on that because that's really, really interesting. And maybe we'll cover a little bit of the previous theories and thoughts on that whole van theory. So yeah, we might just do we'll break up the Coleman series, the Google Coleman series with maybe an episode on that because that'd be pretty interesting to cover.
I wonder. Well, I'll skip that one.
Hey, you got the breaking news right here, Miss Nosy.
Oh, now I go. See if I can find him here. Guy named Bo Mason. You guys ever heard of Bo Mason?
Heard of Perry Mason.
Bo Mason is the commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety. In other words, a high-ranking law enforcement official there in Utah. Bo Mason. Now, notice Bo Mason appointed to that position on July 17th. Again, that anchor right around July 20th. He was appointed a few weeks before that, and he took the role on July 17th, replacing a guy named Jess L. something, who resigned. I can't remember it all off the top of my head. But again, District of Columbia, Bo Mason, well, you can say, hey, he's a law enforcement official. Notice how close that is to July 20th again. We got it right in that same window where I told you really watch that time period.
That July 20th is important.
Really watch that time period right around July 20th tonight. Something caused a lot of these searches to take place right in a very narrow band of time.
I'm just going off camera. I'm right here. Don't freak out, nobody.
But again, this one could be explained away as, hey, he got appointed the very next day. He got appointed on July 17th there in Utah. So maybe on July 16th, someone says, we need to look at who the new Department of Public Safety head is going to be in Utah. Maybe. Now I want to show you a very interesting story.
Hey, Brett, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. Hey, if you can't hang out, I get it. I'm glad you stopped in. Hey, if you can do like I do and pop an earbud in and just listen, even if you don't get to see it, that'd be cool. If not, hey, that's what those shows stay on YouTube for. You can always go back and watch later. I really appreciate you stopping in and saying hey, regardless.
That was, I found and was just absolutely baffled by this story. This is a guy named John Cullen. Think of him what you will. A lot of people have strong opinions about him, but he's one of these what I used to call a Twitter terrorist, a guy who posts all the time on what now called X, the new platform X. He discovered, or somebody pointed out to him, and he's really been covering it, that there was a plane, this plane here, a Bombardier Global 6500 with the tail number November 1098 Lima. And on the day Charlie Kirk was died, it made two very interesting flights and deviations from flights. It had booked a flight, or it had flight plans from, I think, New Mexico to Montana, which would take it right near Orem, Utah, the site of the rally. This was not an unusual flight for this plane. But on the day of the shooting, it actually dropped. This plane can go up to 51,000 feet cruising altitude. It's a U.S. spy plane, basically. And on the day of the shooting, it comes all the way down to 203 or 204 feet off the deck, off the ground, and it's flying at nearly stall speed. The first time it did that was heading north on its path to Montana. It deviates from its flight plan. It comes down to from 30 to 50,000 feet in the air. It comes all the way down to 204 feet, and it flies within 2 miles of the campus of Utah Valley University at 204 feet. You know how low that is in the air? 204 feet at nearly stall speed, like 113 knots or 118 knots. I can't remember. This right here says 129 knots where they picked it up. And then on the way back, and then it goes back up, and on the way back, 24.
At 204 feet, you should literally be able to tell the color of some of the passengers' eyes without a doubt. 204 feet for a plane is ridiculous.
25 minutes after Kirk was assassinated, it comes back through the Orem, Utah area, back down to 203 or 204 feet, the exact same height it flew before, at nearly the exact same speed, 25 minutes after Kirk was assassinated. Nearly stall speed. A gust of wind could have knocked that plane out of the sky. And then it goes back up and on its way. Well, I thought, and then remember this tail number here, N1098L, November 1098 Lima. So I think that's a weird thing. I mean, that's unusual. So let's look it up. Let's look up November 1098 Lima. And let's see, just for the sake of argument, is there anybody in the world who is curious about this plane at this time? And in fact, I did find somebody. And if I can find the dadgum tab, I'll tell you who it was. What did I do with it? There it is. That was supposed to be really quick and cool transition, and then it wasn't. I found November 1098 Lima. It was searched again out of Israel in the week leading up to the shooting. August 8th, a month and 2 days before the shooting, a month and 2 days before this plane does a very weird 200-foot flyby of the campus at nearly stall speed. Now, we've learned since that this plane has the capacity to deploy drones. I've seen news articles. I've seen videos. This plane, this jet, is a U.S.
I just want to say, no matter what its purpose is, planes, they just don't fly that low. I mean, even little, single engine Cessnas, the little small planes, people don't fly those that low. I mean, yeah, you might see one that low if it's crop dusting or if it's landing or taking off, but like they just don't fly that low. And especially at that speed, like that is just ridiculous. And the fact that it was flying at regular average heights, regular average speeds, and then when it gets to that particular space in that particular time frame, for it to drop down almost low enough to kiss the ground and almost come to a stall, it's going so slow, and do that twice, but only in that particular area, regardless of what it means, we can all be confident that it means something. Like that they just don't just do that. There was a particular reason, and one has to assume, knowing now what was going on in that time frame, it has to be related to that in some fashion.
Government contracted spy plane. It has the ability to deploy drones.
And Ms. Nosey, honestly, I don't think we ever really got a definitive answer on what it was for. I think mostly it was speculation. I sure would really like to know exactly for sure what it was there for.
Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel, and again, we talked about all the ways that can happen, took an interest in this particular tail number about 32 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Maybe it's related, maybe it's not. So we press on. Do you remember the stink? One of the major things the left did as soon as Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I mean, his body wasn't even cool yet. And they're already blaming Donald Trump and Kash Patel for it because, well, they tried out the special agent in charge there in Salt Lake City like a bunch of cowboys. They just going around firing people. Well, maybe we look into that. Has anyone in the world taken an interest in the old? special agent in charge there in Salt Lake City? Yes, July 9th. Remember, about 10 or 11 days before that July 20 date I tell you to keep anchoring on July 9th, somebody looks up the old special agent in charge, Matab Sayed. And lest you think that's kind of a name that, well, maybe that's just a particular, hey, I even added the middle initial, Matab A. Sayed. Again, Israel. Again, August 10th.
Surely not Israel.
What about the new guy? Who replaced him? Robert Bowles replaced him. Well, let's look up.
I think it's been well established that either they had something directly to do with it, or they're spying on the people that spying on us.
Robert Bowles. Anybody in the world looking at Robert Bowles? Yeah.
Maybe both.
Friends in Israel, or an IP address originating in Israel, September 1st. So they took someone with an IP address originating in Israel took a keen interest in the special agent in charge in Utah. And then when that special agent in charge changed in the weeks leading up to the assassination, they took a keen interest in the new guy. And again, lest you think this is just a name that gets searched all the time, not in D.C., this is the special agent in charge of the Salt Lake City. No one in District of Columbia was interested in it. Israel was. What about Matab Sayed? Any interest in the District of Columbia there? No interest. But Israel took an interest for whatever reason in who the special agent in charge was.
So my guess is Washington, D.C. probably didn't need to do too much research, because if he was placed there for a reason, it was probably related to orders from Washington, D.C. So I'm guessing that they probably wouldn't have to do too much research, and they probably knew what they needed to know, hence to why he was put there. And, our good friends, our greatest ally, probably just wanted to double check up on it and see if, it was an acceptable, swap. Just my thoughts.
Now, finally, this is not finally, but this is probably, I'm at the scene right now. We're at the scene. We're leading up.
And yes, that could mean Trump, but that doesn't necessarily mean Trump. I mean, obviously, FBI leadership is in Washington, D.C. So, could be either, could be both, whoever, whatever. I would say the reason why it didn't get searched from Washington, D.C. is because Washington, D.C. already knew all they needed to know about the man.
Up to it. I was particularly struck by how quickly he gave up on the idea that the question that was asked, which are assassinated, could have anything to do with it. It was like too perfect of a coincidence.
I haven't given up on that. I'm fully convinced that it had everything to do with it.
They was talking about transgender gun violence. It was a lefty. I think he has a podcast. I don't want to speak out of turn. Guy's name's Hunter Kozak. Hunter Kozak goes to the stage. Now, I have heard where he said out of his mouth, he pre-screened this question with Charlie Kirk's team. They were fine with him asking this question. It's not like he got the team review.
Now, I have heard conflicting stories on that. The latest that I've heard, and I think this came from Baron Coleman, was that he did not, in fact, screen that question through the team, that he had screened another question through the team and yet asked this question instead. Now, not 100% sure which is the God's honest truth, but I could see that. But unless I really misunderstood, the last thing I heard on that was that he did screen a question, but it was not that question. And then when he got up there to the microphone, he asked the trans question.
Reviewed the question, reviewed the questioner, and determined, yes, you may ask this question live to Charlie Kirk at the American Comeback Tour event in Orem, Utah, at Utah Valley University, in the UVU courtyard. And initially, people came up and said, oh, that question has to be related. It's just too convenient. They had the little transgender terms on the bullets, for example. And this guy was living with someone who...
Now, that's what you call too convenient.
Who may or may not be transitioning from male to female and may or may not wear puppy dog costumes and think he's a dog or something. I don't know what the facts are. Not my culture. Not making fun of it. Just
not mine
telling
either.
you I have limitations on my ability to discuss it. But his name was Hunter Kozak. Kozak. And I thought to myself, Self?
Yep, that's right, Brett. He was with old Destiny and all those weirdos.
Actually, someone recommended this one. I would love to take credit for searching this one, but
Diana, yes. So his daddy, I think, is the producer for Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel. He's a bigwig there on the Jimmy Kimmel show, but I'm 99.9% sure he's the producer. So yes, big time in Hollywood. His granddaddy was in Hollywood, like directly with movies and such. So yes, Hollywood.
a friend of mine recommended this one. Lo and behold, our friends in Israel were searching the name Hunter
No, with friends like that, who needs enemies?
Kozak or someone with an IP address originating in Israel. We're searching the name Hunter Kozak on 3 August 2025. Again, look at it again. Just I don't want you to lose it because I'm going to switch it over to District of Columbia in a second. I might even switch it to Utah. I don't know if I've done Utah yet, but on August 3, 2025, Hunter Kozak searched with an IP address originating in Israel. Now let's do the District of Columbia. Anyone within our nation's capital curious about this guy? No. Anybody inside the state of Utah curious about this guy? Only after the shooting. Only after the shooting. But our friends on the other side of the world, for some reason, took an interest in this guy.
For what reason could that be, do we reckon? Anybody got any clues?
So I press on. Believe it or not, I'm not done.
That's all you can do.
I'm going to try to wrap this up in an hour today, but I can't guarantee it. Cannot guarantee it. Okay, so let me move on from, we've done George Zen, we've done Timpanogos Regional Hospital, we've done Dietrich Amaro, we've done Bo Mason, we've done November 1098 Lima, we've done Matab Sayed, we've done Matab A. Sayed, we've done Robert Bowles, and we've done Hunter Kozak. Now, one could argue all of this is just some strange coincidence.
For the record, I do not believe in coincidences, especially, so I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in single coincidences, but I damn sure don't believe in between these 3 episodes, 15, 20 coincidences. And I mean like rare coincidences, all back to back to back, all related to the same event. And we're nowhere close to done yet. So in other words, they are not coincidences.
They could. Sorry, that was disgusting. Oh, man, bringing the receipts. I wish these could be picked up by someone with a bigger mic. I know you probably prefer to stay low-key. I do prefer to stay low-key. I do not want any credit for any of this. But I will say this.
Look at that. That is so freaking funny in hindsight. Wish this would get picked up by someone with a bigger mic. There are really not too many people out there with a bigger mic now all of a sudden, huh? It's been 6 months. God, talk about exploding.
There's a reason people with bigger mics don't pick this up. Well,
that's kind of a different type of exploding microphone. He has really done well. I'm proud of him, and for good reason.
Might be more than one reason, but there's at least one reason they don't pick this up. All right. This one gets a little deep. This one, if you have a 5-point safety harness in your seat, you might want to go ahead and fasten it. You will have full access to your entire seat. You will only need the front edge for this one. This one took a little research. I was very curious when the Talk Points USA spokesperson came out and said they had spoken to the surgeon, but didn't give the surgeon's name.
Oh, yeah. Me too, Brett. I saw the first Google Trends episode. Actually, I think he had done the first one, and then I heard Ian Carroll shout him out, and that would have been, I believe, around the night that he did the second one. And so I just went back, started on the first one, watched the second one, and I have not missed a minute since.
So I thought, who's the surgeon? Again, this is the surgeon. Look, according to the Talking Points USA spokesperson, who seems like a nice guy, not knocking him at all. Only doing his job, relaying the message that he was given from the surgeon, just letting the world know about it. Fine with it. This is the guy who said, hey, Charlie's made of steel. This bullet would have normally gone through almost anybody, but Charlie's made of steel.
And let's remember where that actually came from. Obviously, this was this here was done way back, so there's been a lot of things that came out since. But of course, that was Andrew Kovac that came out and said that. And of course, he caught a lot of shit for it. And when Candace met with Erica, she said she didn't know anything about that Andrew had gone rogue. And then I believe it was Brandy and Billy maybe that talked to somebody that knew the surgeon. I don't know anyway. And he was like, no, never said that. And so then it was like, what the hell? And come to find out, it was actually Erica that said that on a phone call with the surgeon and with Andrew Kovac. So once again, she lied. But yeah, and once again, the bullshit and disinformation, it had a way of making its way out from her.
They didn't give the surgeon's name. And again, remember Deidre Mora?
Oh God, 80 Fleet is awesome. I watch Coach, so you can't help but at least see some of it. But yeah, 80 Fleet is awesome. I can't wait. Maybe I'll know I've made it whenever I find myself in a cartoon or in an animation. I want muscles like Baron's got.
They didn't do an autopsy, I don't think. At least that's the news on the street. They didn't do an autopsy. So I go and I get a list of all the surgeons I can find at the Orem.
Hey, y'all jump in there in her comments and say, hey, you really need to do one. Adam Thomas podcast. Like, you really got to do one for him.
Branch of Timpanogos Regional Hospital. And I think,
me too, Diana, me too.
Could anyone have looked up any of these people? The first surgeon I could find was a guy named Stephen Nealman. Stephen Nealman. Remember that date, July 20. This is July 18th. This is July 18th. Stephen Nealman. July 18th, 2025. This was out of our friends on the other side of the planet over there. Very curious about the surgeons in Utah, you'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the next one I could find. And Robert found a lot, so I added an MD to it. Robert Patterson.
It's almost like they were trying to, choose a surgeon, pick one out, but for whatever reason. Almost like. Maybe not.
Patterson MD. July 23 and 24.
There we
May
go.
have been the only one that was searching.
Got in that July 20th range again. We're staying right there in that same time frame.
Twice, 2 days in a row. July 23 and 24, Robert Patterson, MD. Again, I just find online a list of surgeons at Timpanogos. I eliminate people like the breast reconstruction surgeons because I didn't think that was necessary to look up. Actually, I might have looked up
A good call, Baron.
one of them. But I found the general surgeons, the emergency surgeons, all the people who minor surgery. I looked them all up. I go to the next one, Lee Trotter. Has anyone looked?
Don't worry about that. You doing stuff like that, I don't think you have that to worry about. Yeah, I don't think you'd have to worry about that with an animation.
Up Lee Trotter. Again, notice that.
Obviously, that's not legal advice, so, you got to check into that yourself. So
The date. Notice the date. This is right in that July 20 area, that July 20 timeline. Someone with an IP address originating in Israel.
But as long as you're not using true actual footage of individuals and actual, scenarios, I don't think they could really do anything, because at the end of the day, you're still creating it.
Looking up Surgeon Lee Trotter.
Again, not legal advice.
Near about that same July 20 time period. Are there other surgeons in the area? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. There's a guy named Lee Patterson. So I look up Lee Patterson. Notice the date, July 19th. Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel in the week of July 20, that week on either side of July 20, was very interested in all the people who practice surgery at Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem, Utah. There was a lot of interest from an IP address originating there. Now, let's just, we talked about the different, let's say someone's using a VPN. FBI, Utah State Police, I think this is still a
Yeah, look, they might send out the cease and desist just to hopefully scare you into, complying. But unless you're actually truly defaming them, and that means, knowingly lying against them in such a way that it harms them. Unless you're truly to the letter of the law doing that, they don't have any grounds to sue you, and they're not going to. A lot of people, and I mean, with good reason, get nervous when cease and desist letters come out. But at the same time, an attorney will send out a cease and desist even if they know they have no basis to actually, go on to a full suit.
Utah State Police matter, by the way. This didn't cross jurisdictional lines, I don't think.
No, Diana. I generally end up watching those on my own. I just with our schedule and the way things go, there's just not a lot of a lot of time for. Matter of fact, I'm the only one really interested in it. I'll just say it like that.
If I'm the Utah State Police, I'm calling Google and saying, I need to know the IP addresses that hit this.
Yes, Brett, I have. I'm not 100% convinced that it's actually her yet. It seems awful convenient, but it would not shock me at all. So I don't know. Before I start screaming from the rooftops about it, I'm definitely going to give it time to, get passed around and analyzed a few times.
You know if this belongs to a VPN, does it belong to this? Is it the same IP address that looked up all the different surgeons in my county? Because there's more. There's a guy named Brian Gill, probably a very talented surgeon. July 22, IP address originating in Israel.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with Mr. Let Go, but if y'all are familiar with Mr. Let Go, pretty sure he did a show on it today. Whether it was today or not, though, I know for a fact that he did when I saw it and watched part of it. So look up Dr. or Mr. Let Go, and you'll find that, and you can hear that audio. It's pretty wild.
What about Richard Rasmussen? I'm sure he's a fine surgeon, a nice guy, probably a pillar of the community. Also searched July 14th. IP address originating in Israel. Richard Rasmussen. Again, if I'm the state police, if I'm the FBI, I have real concerns that my surgeons are being searched within a very narrow time window, like 7 to 10 days of each other. And I want to know, is it the same IP address looking at all of them? Because I want to know who the hell is so curious about my surgeons in my local hospital. If I'm the FBI, I might ask, is this related to an assassination where they rushed the body there and there was a surgeon that declared Charlie Kirk a Superman?
Wow, Diana, that's pretty deep. I'm going to have to think on that one tonight and get back with you tomorrow. That is definitely an interesting thought.
And claims he found the bullet and then signed the death certificate and there was no autopsy. And people may have been searching these surgeons. What about William Pugh? He's a fine surgeon, I'm sure. July 30th.
What would a fine surgeon be without an Israel search?
About 10 days after July 20th, but by July 30th, there's still someone over there still searching.
That's when you know you've made it as a surgeon in Utah, is when you are searched out by not only Washington, D.C., but also Huntsville, Alabama, and our greatest ally.
Surgeons. Now, it's possible there are even more surgeons that I couldn't find. That's possible. There are more surgeons that I couldn't find. There might be dozens of surgeons. I don't know how big of a hospital this is. I don't know how many beds it has. I don't know how many surgeries it does on a normal basis. I don't know how many emergency surgeries it does.
You can bet your ass somebody over there in the land of our greatest ally knows the answer to all those questions.
And so I can't tell if I got them all, but I do know this. I had 1, 2, 3.
It's really nothing that fancy, Diana. It's a Samsung Galaxy watch.
4, 5, 6, 7 surgeons at Timpanogos General Hospital, Regional Hospital, and they were all searched by an IP address originating in Israel within about a 2-week period, a couple of months before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I do know that. I know that much. That's a fact, Jack. That's a fact. So I key in on this IP address, or this could be, like I said, could be a VPN. But if it's a VPN, I think the FBI or the state police. That's a good question. I'll get to a second. If it's a VPN, I think the state police or the FBI could go to the VPN and say,
Yeah. Yeah, Miss Susan. I tend to agree. I've done both, and I don't know. I've thought long and hard about going back to Apple, but I'm stuck on I'm stuck on my Samsungs. I just love them,
Whose IP address connected to this?
and the watches are great. They work really good with the phones.
But if it's not a VPN and there's someone in a foreign country searching up all the surgeons in my jurisdiction right before there's a high profile assassination, I'm very curious what the is going on. Like, very curious.
Yeah, these are about the least curious people I have ever come across in my entire life. And when I say these, I mean, yeah, obviously Utah State investigators, I mean the prosecutors, the FBI, it's just amazing how uncurious these people are.
Like, angrily curious what's going on. And I don't care if it was Iran, if it was Russia, if it was China, if it was Afghanistan, if it was New Zealand, if it was Canada. I don't care. I don't care if it's Kansas. I want to know. It just so happened that it was the country that it was Israel. But that could have been anybody.
Could have been, but guess what? It wasn't.
But since we were there looking at surgeons, I figured let's look around the campus. Let's see what else there is. And I watched a zillion videos. I'm going to show you one of them I watched. I watched a zillion videos. I looked at a campus map. And I thought, I need to, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull this map up. I think you need to see this map. Because I'm going to reference it now, and then I'm going to show you in a little bit why I'm referencing it. Here's the school map, the campus map of Utah Valley University. If you zoom in, you'll recognize this is the courtyard where Charlie Kirk had his final moments. You recognize this, right? This is the tent.
Brett, I do think there are some other, but I don't think anybody's covering it like he is. He's definitely the best right now. He's been doing a hell of a job. So yeah, shout out to Trigger Smart. Not that he really needs me to shout him out, but he does. He does some good work. I'd love to get on his show one day, talk to him.
Was right here. We're told the shooter was in this posture, in this position right here.
Yeah, that's what that's who I was trying to think of, actually. Yeah. Nate's been covering it. Not as in detail. Not like Matt's been covering it, but Nate has been covering it. That's why I say Matt's just been doing an awesome job, one of a kind. Nobody else is doing it like he's been doing it.
Taking this shot, slightly off center shot. I don't know what the angle is. Maybe 5 degrees. I don't know, 8 degrees maybe off of that shot right there. And then because this is the Losey Center. Excuse me, the Losey Center here. Then you have the Sorensen Center here. I'll be coming back to that in a moment. And you have the library here, the Fulton Library, and you have the Clark Building. These are all going to be important to us. And just
Diana, as far as who we should have went to war with, I mean, do you really want my honest opinion? No, probably not China. Yeah, they're probably an issue, but I'll just be totally honest with you. We should have probably gone to war with our greatest ally, with that little country that's about the size of the state of New Jersey. You know, that's just my opinion. But my opinion don't really matter. So anyway, we'd have been much better off and further ahead, I do believe.
a moment.
Yes, Diana, absolutely. Talked to him today. Matter of fact, I've talked to him a couple times, and we are definitely going to do a show probably here in the next few days. Yep, we've been going to do it, but he had some other people pop up and ended up doing shows with them, and I told him no rush. So anyway, yeah, we're going to do one probably within the week, and we're going to start doing them more regular too. I'd like to work out something maybe where we do a regular show like me and Greg are doing.
Yeah. Okay. So let me get rid of this map now that you kind of situated yourself with the community here. I pull up a picture, Getty Images picture. Will I be able to find it? There it is.
Yeah, Brett, and you want to hear some shit? So, I've been talking to Matt, done a show with him. Obviously, I know Greg been doing shows with him, and actually had mentioned both of them to each other at separate times, and was gonna put them in contact. And I guess Greg happened onto his channel, didn't realize he was the guy that I had mentioned to him. And he said, I thought, I really like this guy's energy. So I think he sent him a super chat, but said something about collabing. And he was like, yeah. So bam, they got together. I knew both of them and was planning on hooking the two up. And turns out I'm flipping through my YouTube and bam, there's, there's them two together. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So anyway, yeah, it's a good show. Good show. Two great guys. I tell you what, I enjoyed talking to both of them.
I pull up a Getty Images picture. This is Charlie Kirk. And he's pointing.
Well, I hated we couldn't do it tonight, Miss Susan, but I can almost guarantee you it'll have to be something catastrophic to keep us from doing it next Friday night. And if he's up to it and the schedules allow, we had even talked about maybe throwing in one at the first of the week just to kind of make up for today.
At the crowd, obviously this is before the shooting, and there's all these people.
It is funny that way, Brett. It is. But hey, it's all good. I mean, I was tickled that they got in touch. I was wanting to put them in touch, but they managed to do it before I was able to get it done.
And they're all looking out at the way here. But I zero in on this guy right here, this guy with a camera, because I couldn't remember why I'd seen him before. But he stuck out to me. He has what appears to be a Nikon camera, maybe a D7000 potentially Nikon camera. I know it's a Nikon because it's got that black and yellow strap, and when he zooms, he goes clockwise. That's
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's Charles McClintock Wilson. I'm pretty sure is who that is. I could be wrong. I may be confused right now.
Unusual for camera. A lot of cameras go counterclockwise. There's only a couple. I think Sony and Nikon are the only two that go.
Hey, what makes you think I'm not young people?
They go clockwise, most of the lenses. And so anyway, I'm looking at this picture. I zoom in. A couple reasons. One is you can put the body armor thing to rest there. He's not wearing body armor. But two, I noticed that guy and I think, where have I seen that guy before? And I remember this.
But I'll see what I can do, maybe.
Video. I remember this video. This is going to come in. I'm not going to do this. I do not want to do this gore thing. So I'm going to try to stop this before there's any blood. So if you have a stomach, please know I'm not going to try to show the blood. There's my guy right here. See him up here? You remember the Getty picture I just showed you a second ago? Was the guy? That's his Nikon camera. Look how zoomed it is. Look how zoomed it is. I could go back if you want me to. I could go back to the other image and I could show you that it is very much not zoomed like that. You can tell it's the thing. So he is looking.
No, Brett, if that's who I'm thinking it is, that Charles McClintock Wilson. No, that is the one actually that Brandy and Billy ended up interviewing for their first interview. That was Life is Driving, Adam Bartholomew, that was such a jackass on Barron's show that time.
Right now, this guy is positioned behind the stage. Behind the stage.
Yeah, so the photographer that ended up coming on Barron's show and was such a horse's ass, that was Adam Bartholomew. Life is Driving, I think, is what his channel's called or something like that. So Charles McClintock Wilson, he's a really good guy, real nice, quiet spoken, just real respectful dude. Totally not anything like Adam Bartholomew was. So anyway, and got some really good stuff. If you go to his website, charlesmcclintockwilson.com, he's got a bunch of pictures of the event. He didn't put any on there that were really graphic, even though he said he did end up with some, but he does amazing work, and I'm not sure exactly what kind of camera it is he uses, but he has some of the best images that I have seen.
Now, there's a walkway. There's that hall of flags. By now, we're all positioned with campus. This is all going to be very important in a second. Trust me. Right now, this guy is positioned looking behind Kirk. This is 25 seconds before Charlie Kirk is assassinated. 25 seconds before Charlie Kirk is assassinated. Charlie Kirk has just taken a few questions. He's sitting down. And this guy that I'm looking at here, I want you to keep an eye on this guy for just a minute. Just a minute. Because right now, again, his camera is zoomed and he's looking backstage. If you remember, after the hubbub and commotion, there wasn't much going on back there. There wasn't much going on back there at all. There were a couple of SUVs. There were some people standing around, but there was no nothing that I could see where you would want to take an image backstage. What is this? I believe a gentleman by the name of Chris something determined a 9-degree angle. I'm willing to accept 9 degree. What did I say? 5 to 7, something like that. I'll give you 9. I didn't get out the square and compass, but I will allow that it was 9 degrees. I have no reason to doubt our good friend Chris. I wish I knew who Chris was, because that sounds like the type of video I would like to watch. Okay, I'm going to roll this forward slowly. I want you to notice a couple of things. My friend here with the hat and glasses with the...
All right, guys, 8 views, 5 likes. Now, you don't have to leave to do it, but just make sure y'all hit that like button, all right? Or 8 people viewing. So anyway, just giving you a friendly reminder. I don't think I got to tell any of y'all to subscribe. Pretty sure every one of y'all subscribed. If you could subscribe twice, that would be great, but you can't. So just make sure you hit that like button.
A Nikon, I believe, D7000, but I could be wrong about that. His lanyard is white. He is looking backstage with a very zoomed in camera. I want to scroll forward here. I want to scroll forward.
I know, Miss Susan. I'm sure I know you did that on your way in.
Looking. This is not me moving it left and right. This is the camera moves left and right. So this is the 0.
I know you did, Nosy. And you know what? Y'all may all have. It just may have been some other people that dropped in, for just a minute and back out. So anyway, I got to put that out there. Maybe somebody will hear this in the future, and that'll be their reminder.
See down here 0. I roll forward.
Y'all are
2
great.
seconds. He's done shooting back there.
I so appreciate the support
there, but he's still looking back there. Got a little ponytail here. I can't tell if he has on an earring or he's wearing an earpiece. Oh goodness! Oh, glad that didn't pop up. But I will show you what I'm talking about. You see that? Is that an earring or an earpiece? It looked like an earring, right?
Yes, without a doubt, that is him. That is Charles McClintock Wilson.
That right there.
Really good dude. So now he's doing some...
This is the guy I'm interested in.
He's doing some... Yeah, he's interested in him right now. He's curious. Is this? Is this that? These questions all get answered. And, of course, he's completely off Barron's radar now. So just to, throw that out there. Yeah, he ended up being a very, very good guy with some very helpful stuff. And a matter of fact, there's that mystical legend of a picture that that Barron's got that he keeps saying that if you were to see that picture, you would know, like he knows without a doubt, when they were carrying him to the car, that his neck was broken. That it's the way his head and neck's turned, like a human head and neck won't turn that way. That came from Charles McClintock Wilson. Now, he got it from him for his own personal use, but Charles asked him not to put it out there. So anyway, he said that he was going to try maybe, later on to be able to put it out. But anyway, that's who Charles McClintock Wilson is.
In this video. Now, if I am looking carefully,
yes, no, they are. They are, and that's one thing that sucks. Yeah, he watermarks the hell out of his, or whatever you want to call it. But now, one thing that you can do, all that doesn't show up on the picture until you actually click on the picture. But even if you take and just zoom in on it before you actually click on the photo, they're still real good and clear. And you can also screenshot them without clicking on it. And that is one way to get around that. But yes, I agree. Yeah, he doesn't want people to, steal his stuff for sure.
This is an earlobe. That is an earlobe.
Oh God, yes.
Right here. Comes around the top. Does that look like an earpiece or an earring?
It's not an earpiece. I'll answer that.
Because I'm changing my mind actually on the fly. If this is his earlobe right here, that's an earpiece. Right there. But anyway, he's looking back. Again, he caught my eye when I was flipping Getty Images, by the way. Let me do a quick aside on this. Getty Images has a fantastic collection of images from the day. If you are interested in the Charlie Kirk case, I highly recommend you go to the Getty website and search Charlie Kirk, Utah Valley University, however you look it up, and they will have hundreds of images, very high quality.
All right, we're going to get past Charles McClintock Wilson because we all know how this ends.
Images. And when I was watching, when I saw that image, I thought, man, this guy looks familiar. I've seen him before. With what the surgeon told us, Charlie had bones of steel. Well, there's no bone.
Sorry, guys. Hold, please.
He's looking behind there. Let me go back. Why do I bring all that up? That cameraman may have nothing to do with it.
He don't.
Lanyard guy. But if there was an assassination of a high-level political figure.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on the camera gun thing, though, just to be totally honest. Y'all all know how I feel about it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Unless somebody comes up with something really, really, really crazy evidence-wise to prove different, that I'm on the road, Mike. I've got 2 videos already, going over that. Probably end up doing more in the future. So, yeah, I just don't. I think it was the microphone.
And there's somebody in the crowd looking behind, looking in under the.
Most of the people that bring up things like that, the camera, especially the palm pistol, these people have absolutely no idea how hard it would be to aim and shoot accurately with something like that. And, so the palm pistol would be really hard just to aim, period, and shoot. Then you got the camera gun, and you got to figure you got a moving target, but you have this camera more than likely mounted to a tripod if it was one of the cameras around him. I don't know. I believe it was the microphone until something else is proven to be the culprit.
Tent, looking off into the distance, changing a lanyard around, going back. I want to know who he's talking to. Maybe he has an earpiece in. I want to know what the hell's going on. That's all. Not wear hearing aids.
Did she already transfer into the mermaid, or is that somebody else in there?
Maybe he wears hearing aids. Maybe
Transform, I meant to say.
he can't hear well. I don't. And if somebody saw me, they say, "Oh, he's wearing an earpiece." No, I got a hearing aid. I got a prescription for that. But I would want to know. See if I can find his immediate after reaction without there being the blood and guts. I do have to show it. I have to show it. I gotta find a way to zoom in so you guys can see this without the blood and guts. And if it happens to pan over there, I'm sorry. So at this moment is the very first scene where Charlie Kirk where you can see the open wound in Charlie's neck.
Well, now, Brett, if you hear something from me that sounds like a crazy theory, let's talk about it before you unsub, please. Can we do that?
I'm not going to show it, but just trust me. The time he got shot at 25 seconds in this video. This is at 21 seconds. Nikon boy is really zoomed in on something way off into the distance. You see people starting to react. Look at this guy right here. You see people just starting to react. This guy is looking dead at Charlie and hadn't even had a chance to react yet. That's how fast it is. Let me try to roll forward without you seeing Charlie here. So this guy, this is his reaction. He goes down. Camera goes down. Look, more mouths opening in the background. Camera goes down. Look where he looks. Look where he looks.
All right, guys. You know what? That is the end of the Google from this episode. I do remember. Matter of fact, I was looking on my phone, checking the chapters for that episode, and that is the end of that. But real quick, I am going to try to pull up that post that I was telling you about and at least give you a little preview on that. Let's see here. Hold, please. Technical issues. Good Lord. Okay, there we go. Let me see if I can find that post. I want to show that post to you if I can find it. I know I can find it. I know exactly where to look. Just give me one moment here. Hold, please. Hold for processing. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see here. Hey, we're getting somewhere. All right, here we go. This is this is really interesting, and this could be crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, proof of concept. We isolated a 4940 hertz frequency in the UV event recordings. 92,726 standard deviations above baseline. And I don't know if if you understand deviations, that is crazy, crazy accurate. Um, a signal so strong, it's essentially impossible to be random noise. We traced it to a 30 caliber projectile impacting ballistic gel near the van. Then we reproduced it. And that is really what I want to see. There's the 4940 hertz. We reproduce frequency of ballistic gel. Let's see. Seeing if he says anything else about it in particular. I don't know. He's got a lot of data and stuff in here. All right, the results across 3 confirmed gel impacts. 4898, 4869, 5057, 4941. Almost dead on the 4940 hertz target. All 3 within 2% of the frequency we isolated in the UVU recordings. This isn't a coincidence. Okay, so mouse wasn't wanting to cooperate. Okay, air rifle test, UVU vent. Oops. So it appears there's quite a bit of technical stuff to go through, which is great because that's what you call evidence. Um, so I'm going to look through that stuff a little bit closer, and then we will definitely talk on that. A theory claims the rifle shot at UVU was faked, just a recording played through the PA speakers to cover for an explosion. Let's test that against what the PA system would actually need to produce to match what 10 cameras recorded. And then there's a whole bunch of data. So, one thing about it, he does not speak out of his ass. He's really smart, and he brings the receipts. And I love the testing and stuff that he does. So this is all of this. There's the ballistic gel right there. Yeah, we'll definitely have us a closer look at this. See what we got. I guess that's the 4 different comparisons. I'm seeing this for the first time too, guys. I saw the original saw the original post stating what, that they had isolated it. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to dig into that a little bit more, and we will be going over that because that is, oops, I went too far back because that is, that's crazy. I never really felt like it was a speaker's thing. I know that's been, brought up, and I mean, I could understand why some people would at least wonder if that was the case. But at the end of the day, I've just always felt like it was, hold on. Good Lord. There. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. Yeah, so you're talking about Rick Cutler, Nosy, and I'm not saying that he didn't have anything to do with it. I'm kind of like Blake Bednarz has brought this up several times, and I don't doubt it, and there's probably some truth to it. Whether he actually harmed Charlie directly in any way, whether he had anything in his hand, it almost seems like some of the things that were going on around Charlie at that very moment weren't just random things. Like some of this stuff may have just literally been them acting like they were doing something that looked very suspicious, like they were actually either firing a gun or doing something like that, just to catch people's attention, and to lead people down rabbit trails with dead ends, to possibly just kind of muddy the waters and keep people from getting to the real answers. So I believe that that could very well be part of it. I almost did a video, a reaction video to that Wolves and Finance video. And hey, if y'all would like for me to do that, I'd be more than happy to. I almost did, and I seen a few other creators do them. So I was like, well, I'll hold off on that. But if y'all'd like me to, I don't know what y'all thought of that video that Wolves and Finance did, but if y'all want me to go over it and cover it, I sure will. I don't mind at all. But look, he was acting like this is just crazy breaking news, like nobody had been talking about the palm gun or Rick Cutler. But he shows a picture of Rick Cutler from the back and shows that circle in his back pocket. And this is a different type of person. Me, born, raised Tennessee. I'm not sure where he was born and raised at, but he's a different kind of person. When I saw that back pocket, palm gun never would have entered my mind at all. And I have no doubt what that item in his back pocket is. It's not a palm gun. It's a damn Copenhagen can. Well, maybe it's not Copenhagen. Maybe it's Skull. Maybe it's Kodiak. Maybe it's Grizzly. But that's what that is. I'd almost bet anything on it that is a can of snuff in his back pocket. So, yes, yes, Miss Susan, he has. Yep. Yeah, I have not got to check that out, Brett. I seen that. I seen that, but I have not had a chance to check that out. I need to do that very, 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 very soon. Okay, well, I got at least one or two. Let's cover it in there. So, unless somebody's just super opposed to it, we may do that here in the next day or two. We may break up the Google thing and throw some other things in there. We'll do that Wolves and Finance video. I'll tell you. Well, we'll talk about that when I cover it. But I'm kind of disappointed in Mr. Zach in a few different ways. We'll talk about that when I cover it. But he's super smart. and all in all, especially the work he's done on the finances, I believe is really good. But are you talking about Brett? Are you talking about the that video that he did where he was showing his coverage of the Palestinian, like the Gaza thing? Um, he ripped him a new one in that one, and for good reason. So yeah, we'll touch on that whenever I cover it when we do the show. Um, yeah, I'm not too sure yet where Zach stands, to be honest with you. I don't know. Yeah, I figured that's what you were talking about. So, yes, I did actually see that. Now that I think about it, yes, I did, and yes, he did rip him a new one. Yeah, yeah, Danks is good. I really like Danks. Hopefully we can get in touch with Danks, and I would love to sit down and talk to him for a while. Um, that's right, Miss Susan. That's Chew for sure. That's exactly right. Uh, Palm gun would palm gun never popped into my mind. Um, and I've seen some little palm guns before, but I never seen any that were actually made like a skull can until he showed that picture of that one. So, I don't know how hard he had to look to find one that looked like that. But yeah, if somebody pointed at him and said, "What is that in his back pocket?" I mean, I wouldn't even thought about it. I'd have been like, "Yep, it's skull can, Copenhagen can." All right, Miss Susan, I appreciate that. I know that's right. We'll have a good time regardless, right? If we Hey, look, we had a good time. We had a good time covering more Erica Kirk than one should have to listen to at one setting, and still had a pretty good time. So we can definitely make it. Yes, I did, Mr. Brett. I did, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think I responded to you since too. So anyway, yes, I appreciate that. Hopefully, we can get in touch with him. All right, guys. He is still sleeping, but it's not too long till it's bottle time. So I tell you what, I am going to gonna cut here and make myself available to give him a bottle here in the next few minutes. So um, I do I do definitely plan on doing this again tomorrow night. So um, if I can if I can get my head right and everything together, we might just do the Wilson Finance thing tomorrow night, especially knowing that he's got another episode dropping Sunday. So, Mermaid, I've got what I like to call a good spread. Um, I've got a 15-year-old, I got a 10-year-old, I got a 2.5-year-old, and a 6, 7 month old. So it's a really good spread. That's what I like to call it. So awesome. I hope to see every single one of you there. And we'll we'll uh, we'll definitely do this again. And hey, if anybody can drag anybody else in here with them, I will not complain at all. But just make sure. That's exactly right. Yep, yep. Keep me from having to do so much running. All right, y'all guys. I tell you what, it was good. It was fun. It was real fun. All y'all have a good night, and let's plan on meeting back here. Let's plan on meeting back here tomorrow night. Okay. Hey, I'm out of here, guys. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow.